My name is Ella Carter, and last Tuesday at 2:47 p.m., my phone rang with a call that would change everything I thought I knew about family, loyalty, and the difference between love and obligation. I was sitting at my desk in downtown Nashville, surrounded by the comfortable hum of office life. Keyboards clicking, coffee brewing, the soft buzz of fluorescent lights overhead. My computer screen showed a spreadsheet I'd been updating for months, my Toronto relocation budget. Every line item was color-coded. Every dollar accounted for. $150,000 in savings. 5 years of work. 3 months until my fresh start. I'd skipped vacations, said no to brunches, brought lunch from home while everyone else ordered takeout. I'd lived in a studio apartment with a radiator that clanged and a shower that never quite got hot enough. All of it building toward one goal, a life that was finally, completely mine. When my phone lit up with Mia Carter, little sister, I smiled. My baby sister had been house hunting for months, sending me photos of granite countertops and backyards with swing sets for kids she didn't even have yet. I expected another excited update about open houses and mortgage rates. I answered with, "Hey Mia, what's up?" "Ella, oh my God, finally! I've been trying to reach you all morning." The urgency in her voice made me sit up straighter. "I was in a meeting, what's wrong?" "Wrong? Nothing's wrong, everything's right. We found it, Ella. The house. The house." I could hear the smile in her voice, that breathless excitement she got when she wanted something badly. "That's great, Mia. Congratulations." "Maple Street, 4 bedrooms, the school district everyone talks about, a kitchen that's basically HTV ready." She was talking fast, the words tumbling over each other. "The inspector already cleared it. The seller's motivated. We could close in 2 weeks." "Wow, that's fast." Something in my stomach tightened, though I couldn't say why. "You and Marcus must be thrilled." "We are. We so are. It's perfect, Ella. Like we walked in and I could just see our life there, you know? Sunday dinners in that dining room, kids playing in the backyard, you visiting and staying in the guest room. Mia, and there's just one tiny thing we need to figure out." There it was, the shift. The reason my instincts had been prickling. "What thing?" I asked, keeping my voice carefully neutral. A pause, just long enough for me to understand that whatever came next had been rehearsed. "We're short on the down payment, just temporarily. Marcus's bonus got delayed, and the seller wants to close fast, and if we don't move now, someone else will grab it." "How short?" Another pause, this one longer. 150. I blinked. 100? 1,000. The office noise faded to white noise. My screen blurred. I heard myself say, as if from very far away, "Mia, that's not a tiny thing. That's my entire savings account." "That's so dramatic, Elle." Her tone shifted just slightly from excited to cajoling. "It's not like you'd never see it again. Think of it as an investment. You'd basically be a silent partner in our future. And we'd pay you back once Marcus's bonus comes through and we refinance in a year or so. A year or so. And honestly, you'd still have your salary. It's not like you'd be broke. You're so good with money you'd build it back up in no time." My hands were shaking. I set down my coffee mug because I didn't trust myself to hold it. "Mia, I've been saving for 5 years. That money is for Toronto. For my career move. My deposit. My emergency fund. Toronto will still be there later. But this house won't be. This is our chance, Ella." "And my chance doesn't matter?" Don't twist my words. Now there was an edge. "This isn't about you versus me. This is about family. Remember that speech you gave at my wedding? About how we'd always be there for each other? About how family comes first?" I closed my eyes. I'd been 24 at her wedding, still believing that sacrifice meant love, still thinking that if I bent far enough, I'd never break. "That wasn't a promissory note, Mia." Silence, then cold as winter. "Wow, okay, I see how it is." "Mia, wait. No, I get it. Your bank account is more important than your sister's future, than my happiness, than our family." "That's not fair. What's not fair is having a sister who has everything and won't share even a little of it. I'm calling Mom." The line went dead. I sat there, phone in hand, staring at my reflection in the darkened screen. My colleague Sarah passed by my cubicle, noticed my face, and doubled back. "You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." "My sister just asked me for $150,000. Sarah's eyebrows shot up. "For what?" "A house." "Did you? Are you going to—" "No." The word came out stronger than I expected. "No, I'm not." Sarah squeezed my shoulder. "Good for you. Boundaries are healthy." But as she walked away, I wasn't thinking about boundaries. I was thinking about a memory from when I was 12 and Mia was 9. She'd wanted a bike, a specific pink one with streamers and a basket. Mom and Dad said it wasn't in the budget. I'd emptied my birthday money jar and bought it for her. She'd ridden it twice, then left it in the rain until it rusted. I'd never gotten a thank you. My phone buzzed. A text from Mia. "Mom wants to talk to you." Then 30 seconds later, another. "She's really upset, Ella. Hope you're happy." I turned my phone face down and tried to focus on my work. The Toronto spreadsheet stared back at me. Every line item felt like a small act of defiance now. Every dollar I'd saved had been saved by saying no, to dinners out, to new clothes, to weekend trips. My little sister was asking me to give up 5 years of saying no, and I was going to say it one more time. The call from my mother came at 6:47 p.m. I was in my car, sitting in the office parking lot, trying to convince myself to start the engine and drive home. I'd been avoiding my phone all afternoon, watching notification after notification pile up. Texts from Mia, missed calls from Mom, a voicemail from Dad. When Mom's name flashed across the screen for the 7th time, I finally answered. "Hi, Mom. Ella Marie Carter." Her voice was tight, wound up like a spring. "I have been calling you for hours. I was working." Mia called me in tears. Absolute tears, Ella. She says you refused to help her buy a house. I gripped the steering wheel with my free hand. I didn't refuse to help. I said I can't give her $150,000. Can't or won't? Both, actually. A sharp intake of breath. "Do you have any idea how hard your sister has been working? How much stress she and Marcus are under trying to build a life together? They need this house, Ella. It's in the right school district. Mom, I need my savings. For Toronto. For my move. We've talked about this. Toronto will always be there." The same words Mia had used, delivered with the same dismissive certainty. "Your sister needs you now. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for them. And my opportunity doesn't count? Your opportunity is a job change, Ella. Hers is a home, a foundation for a family, for future grandchildren. So my career is less important than her hypothetical children?" "Don't be dramatic." Mom's tone shifted to wounded. "You know that's not what I mean. I just think you've always been the responsible one, the strong one, the one who can handle things. Mia needs more support. She always has." There it was, the thing that had been true my entire life, spoken out loud. Mia needs more. Mia gets more. Ella can handle it. "Mom, I've been saving for 5 years. I've sacrificed, and family isn't worth sacrificing for?" The question hung in the air between us. I could hear her breathing, waiting for me to crumble the way I always had, waiting for me to say, "Of course you're right. I'll do it." Instead, I said, "I love Mia, but no, not this, not my entire future. Ella, please, think about what you're doing. Think about what this will do to our family. Your father and I raised you better than this. We taught you that family comes first, that we take care of each other. You took care of Mia," I said quietly. "I took care of myself." Silence. "That's not true. That's so unfair. Mom, I paid for college with loans. I worked 3 jobs. You and Dad helped Mia with her tuition, her rent, her car. She needed more help." "Exactly." My mother's voice cracked. "I can't believe how selfish you've become. Success has changed you, Ella. It's made you hard." "No, Mom. It's made me able to say no. If you don't do this, your sister might lose this house. Their dream. Their future." Then they'll find another house, one they can afford. Ella Marie, I have to go, Mom. I'll talk to you later. I ended the call before she could respond. My hands were shaking so hard I had to sit on them. In the side mirror, I watched the sun setting over Nashville, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Beautiful, ordinary, a Tuesday evening like any other, except everything had shifted. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from my father. Call your mother back and apologize. Then, this is unacceptable, Ella. Then, we need to talk, tonight. I didn't respond. Instead, I started my car and drove home on autopilot, my mind spinning through decades of memories. Every time I'd stepped aside so Mia could go first. Every time I'd been told to be understanding because Mia was younger, more sensitive, needed more attention. Every time my accomplishments had been met with "that's nice, honey," while Mia's smallest achievement earned celebrations. I told myself it didn't matter, that I was fine being the responsible one, the independent one, the one who didn't need as much. But somewhere along the way, didn't need as much had become didn't deserve as much, and I was done accepting that. My father called at 9:15 p.m. I was sitting on my couch, laptop open, staring at my Toronto folder without really seeing it. When his name flashed on the screen, I considered not answering. But Franklin Carter wasn't a man you ignored. Not if you wanted peace. Hi, Dad. Ella. His voice was flat, controlled, disappointed. Your mother is very upset. I know. Do you? Because she's been crying for hours. Your sister is devastated, and you're sitting there in your apartment acting like none of this matters. That's not fair. What's not fair is watching one daughter destroy another daughter's dreams out of pure selfishness. The word hit like a slap. Selfish. The accusation I'd been bracing for since this afternoon. Dad, it's my savings. 5 years of my life. And it's your sister, your flesh and blood. Or does that not mean anything to you anymore? Of course it means something. Then prove it. His tone shifted from disappointed to commanding. The voice he'd used when I was 16 and staying out past curfew. The voice that expected obedience. Call the bank tomorrow, set up the wire transfer, and this all goes away. Your mother stops crying. Your sister gets her dream. We go back to being a family. And what about Toronto? Toronto. He said it like it was a foolish whim. You can go to Toronto any time. You're 29 years old with a good job. You'll save again, but your sister might not get another chance like this. Why is it always her chance that matters? Silence. Then carefully. That's not true, Ella. We've always supported both of you girls. You co-signed her car loan, paid her credit card bills, covered her wedding. She needed more help. And I needed you to see me. The words burst out before I could stop them. Just once I needed you to choose me, to support my dreams, to say, good for you, Ella. Go to Toronto, build your life. We're saying that now. We're just asking you to help your sister first. Why does it have to be first? Why can't it just be separate? Her life and mine? Because that's not how family works. His voice hardened. You help each other. You sacrifice for each other. You don't hoard money while your sister struggles. She's not struggling, Dad. She wants a house she can't afford. The lender is ready to approve them. They're so close, they need $150,000 they don't have. That's not close. That's broke. Don't talk about your sister like that. I'm not talking about Mia. I'm talking about the situation. And the situation is that they're asking me to fund a lifestyle they can't maintain. Another silence. This one colder. So that's your final answer? No? Dad, let me be very clear about something, Ella. His voice dropped to that quiet, dangerous register I remembered from childhood. If you don't do this, there will be consequences. Your mother and I will not watch you tear this family apart because you're too proud to share what you have. You'll sign the co-loan paperwork Mia's sending over. Or you'll find that family gatherings become significantly less welcoming. My heart hammered. Are you giving me an ultimatum? I'm giving you a choice. Be part of this family or stand outside of it. Your call. Dad! But he'd already hung up. I sat in the sudden silence of my apartment, phone clutched in my hand, feeling like the walls were closing in. An email notification popped up on my laptop. From Mia. Subject line, mortgage cosigner documents. I opened it with shaking hands. The attachment was a PDF, 15 pages of legal paperwork. And there, on page 3, highlighted in yellow, co-borrower, Ella Marie Carter. My name was already filled in. They'd prepared the documents before even asking me. They'd assumed I would say yes, that I couldn't say no, that my entire life savings was theirs for the taking, because that's what family did. And I was the responsible one, the strong one, the one who always came through. I scrolled through the document. The amount, $380,000, not $150,000. The full mortgage. If I signed this, I wouldn't just be giving them a down payment. I'd be on the hook for nearly $500,000 if they couldn't pay. And based on what I was seeing in their current debt-to-income ratio, listed right there in black and white, they absolutely couldn't pay. Marcus's credit score, 580. Mia's credit cards, $47,000 in balances across 6 cards. Their combined car payments, $1,200 a month. Student loans, $83,000. They weren't building a dream. They were building a house of cards, and they wanted to build it on the foundation of my financial stability. I closed the laptop. Then I opened it again, and I started looking up one-way flights out of Nashville. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I went through every financial account I had, every connection to my family that I'd established over the years. What I found made my stomach turn. The credit card I'd given Mia for emergencies only 3 years ago, she was still listed as an authorized user. I logged into the account I barely used and felt the floor drop out from under me. Recent charges. Pottery Barn, $2,400. Restoration hardware, $3,100. Nordstrom, $1,850. A spa weekend package, $1,200 total. $8,550 in the last 2 months alone. Last payment made by Mia Carter. 0 sounds. She'd been using my credit to furnish the house she didn't even have yet. I called the bank's 24-hour fraud line with shaking hands. Credit Services, this is Ryan speaking. How can I help you tonight? I need to report unauthorized charges. My voice sounded strange, distant. And remove an authorized user. I can help with that. Can you verify your account? I went through the security questions in a daze. Then Ryan asked, so these charges were made by someone who had authorized access to your card? Yes, my sister, but I didn't authorize these specific purchases. I understand. In cases like this, you have 2 options. You can file a formal fraud dispute, which would involve law enforcement, or you can simply remove her access going forward and absorb the charges already made. If I file fraud charges, she could face criminal consequences, yes ma'am. Identity theft and credit card fraud are serious offenses. I thought about Mia at 26, building her dream life on money she didn't have. I thought about my parents defending her, enabling her, teaching her that consequences didn't apply as long as family was there to catch her. I want to remove her access, I said finally, and I'll file the disputes, but I need to think about the fraud charges. Understood. I'll process the removal now and send you the dispute forms. Ma'am, if I can offer some advice, please, change all your passwords. Check every account. If she had access to one card, she might have access to more. He was right. Over the next 2 hours, I went through everything. Email accounts, savings, checking, investment accounts, retirement funds. And that's when I found it. My savings account, the one with $150,000, had a beneficiary listed. Someone who would receive the funds if something happened to me. Mia Carter, 100% beneficiary. I'd set it up 5 years ago when I was 24 and Mia was getting married. We'd been at the bank together, and she'd joked about how I needed to update my paperwork for when you're old. I'd laughed and added her name, thinking I was being generous, thinking it didn't matter because nothing would happen to me. Now, staring at that designation, I understood something that made me feel sick. I wasn't her sister. I was her insurance policy. I changed the beneficiary to estate of Ella Marie Carter, removed her name from every account, every document, every access point, set up two-factor authentication that required my fingerprint, created passwords she could never guess. By 3 a.m., my digital life was finally mine again. By 4 a.m., I'd booked a one-way ticket to Chicago. Not Toronto, Chicago, because Toronto was a dream I'd shared with my family, and I needed something that was only mine. The flight left Friday at 2 p.m., 2.5 days from now. I sent one text to my family group chat. I love you all, but I can't do this anymore. Don't contact me for a while. I need space. Then I turned off my phone, and in the silence of my apartment, with the Nashville skyline glittering outside my window, I finally let myself cry. Not for what I was losing, but for what I'd never really had. A family that saw me as a person, not a resource. A sister who loved me, not what I could give her. Parents who supported my dreams instead of asking me to defer them. I cried until the sun came up. Then I made coffee, opened my laptop, and started planning the rest of my life. The part where I stopped being everyone's backup plan and started being my own priority. 2 days until Chicago. 2 days until everything changed. I just had no idea how much. Wednesday morning arrived with the kind of clarity that comes after a sleepless night spent making irrevocable decisions. I sat at my kitchen table, watching the sunrise paint my small apartment in shades of gold, and felt strangely calm. My phone, still powered off, sat on the counter like a small bomb I wasn't ready to defuse. I'd called in sick to work, the first sick day I'd taken in 2 years. My boss, Sarah, had sounded concerned when I'd emailed her at 5 a.m., but she'd simply replied, "Take care of yourself. We'll manage." Taking care of myself. When had that become a radical act? I made coffee and opened my laptop. The flight confirmation glowed on the screen. Chicago, Friday, one way. The finality of it should have scared me. Instead, it felt like the first honest decision I'd made in years. But there was still work to do. And as I started digging deeper into my financial accounts, looking for any connection I might have missed, I began to understand just how deep the deception ran. I opened an old checking account I'd kept from college. Barely used. Just a place to store a few $100s for emergencies. I'd set it up when I was 19 and hadn't thought about it in years. When the page loaded, my stomach dropped. Last withdrawal, $500, 3 weeks ago. Authorized by Mia Carter. I checked the access log. She'd been listed as a joint account holder since 2018, when I'd added her temporarily to pay some shared bills when we'd briefly lived together. I'd forgotten to remove her. 5 years of small withdrawals. Nothing big enough to trigger alerts. $200 here, $300 there. Over 60 transactions. Total taken, $23,400. My hands shook as I calculated. Combined with the credit card charges, she'd stolen over $31,000 from me. Not borrowed. Stolen. Because she'd never asked. Never told me. Just taken what she wanted because she believed she was entitled to it. I screenshot everything. Printed transaction histories. Built a folder of evidence I hoped I'd never need to use. Then I called the one person I knew would tell me the truth, no matter how ugly. Morgan Tate, my financial advisor. Morgan answered on the second ring. "Ella, I was just about to call you." Something in her tone made my pulse quicken. "You were? Can you come to my office? Like now? There's something you need to see." 40 minutes later, I was sitting across from Morgan's desk in downtown Nashville, watching her pull up documents on her computer with the grim efficiency of a surgeon preparing for a difficult operation. Morgan was 53, sharp as a tack, and had built her wealth management practice on the principle of radical honesty. She'd been managing my investments for 3 years, and I'd learned to trust her instincts completely. "Okay," she said, turning the screen toward me. "I'm going to show you something, and I need you to stay calm." That's never a good way to start. "No, it's not." She pulled up a credit report. "Yesterday afternoon, I got a call from First National Bank. They wanted to verify your income for a mortgage application. My blood ran cold. I didn't apply for a mortgage. I know, but someone did. Using your information. She pulled up another document. They listed your salary as $127,000. You make $89,000. Mia, that's what I figured. So I did some digging, with your standing permission to monitor your credit, of course. And Ella, it's worse than a single fraudulent application. She pulled up a spreadsheet that made my vision blur. Credit inquiries. 7 of them in the past 18 months. All for loans between $50,000 and $200,000. All listing me as either a co-applicant or reference. She's been trying to use you as financial backing for over a year, Morgan said quietly. These are all denials because the lenders could see the debt-to-income ratio didn't make sense, or they called to verify and got voicemail, or they found inconsistencies, but she kept trying. Oh my God. There's more. Morgan pulled up another file. I pulled reports on your family members. You authorized that last year when we were doing estate planning, remember? You wanted to understand the full family financial picture in case your parents needed help someday. I nodded, unable to speak. Your sister and her husband have a combined debt of $184,000, not including the mortgage they're trying to get. Credit cards, car loans, student loans, a personal loan from some payday lender at 24% interest. Ella, they're drowning. She clicked to another page. Your parents co-signed on 2 of Mia's credit cards and Marcus's car loan. They're on the hook for $67,000 if Mia and Marcus default, which based on these payment patterns is going to happen soon. My mouth felt dry. Are Mom and Dad okay financially? Morgan's expression told me the answer before she spoke. Their retirement savings are depleted. They took out a second mortgage on the house last year, I'm guessing to cover some of Mia's debts. They're carrying $40,000 in credit card balances themselves. Ella, your entire family is underwater, and they've been looking at you like you're the life raft. The office suddenly felt too small, too warm. That's why Dad was so insistent. It wasn't about family unity. It was about survival, Morgan finished. If you'd co-signed that mortgage, you'd be on the hook for not just the house, but potentially all of this. She gestured at the screen. Because once they had access to your credit, your income verification, your co-signature, Ella, you'd be funding their entire lifestyle until you had nothing left. I stared at the numbers, watching my family's financial disaster spread across the screen like a toxic spill. Every debt, every missed payment, every poor decision documented in cold, merciless data. How did it get this bad? I whispered. It happens gradually, Morgan said gently. Small choices compound. They bought things they couldn't afford, thinking income would increase. It didn't. They borrowed to cover the gap. The debt grew. They borrowed more. And somewhere along the way, they stopped seeing it as their problem and started seeing it as a family problem, which meant your problem. What should I do? Morgan leaned back in her chair. Legally or practically? Both. Legally, you could press charges for the identity theft and fraud, the credit applications using your information, the unauthorized account access. That's all prosecutable. Practically, you need to protect yourself. Lock down every account, freeze your credit, document everything. And Ella? She met my eyes. You need to get out of their orbit, because desperate people do desperate things, and your family is very, very desperate. I thought about my one-way ticket to Chicago. Suddenly, Friday felt too far away. I left Morgan's office at noon, drove straight home, and did something I'd been avoiding. I turned on my phone. 63 missed calls, 47 text messages, 12 voicemails. I didn't listen to the voicemails, but I scrolled through the texts, watching my family's desperation escalate in real time. From Mia, 6:47 a.m. I know you're ignoring us. Real mature, Ella. From Mom, 7:15 a.m. Please call me. Let's talk about this like adults. From Dad, 7:43 a.m. This silent treatment is childish. Call your mother. From Mia, 8:30 a.m. The seller is getting impatient. We might lose the house because of you. From Mom, 9:02 a.m. Ella Marie, I raised you better than this. From an unknown number, 9:45 a.m. This is Marcus. I don't know what's going on between you and Mia, but this is affecting our future, our marriage. Please reconsider. From Mia, 10:21 a.m. You're really going to let us lose our dream over money? Money you don't even need? From Dad, 11:04 a.m. Final warning. Call by end of day or there will be consequences. The threats were escalating. The desperation was showing. And I realized with sudden crystal clarity that Morgan was right. They weren't going to stop. They couldn't. Because stopping meant facing the reality of their situation. And they'd been running from reality for so long they'd forgotten what it looked like. I needed to see them face to face. I needed to hear them say it, that they'd been using me, planning this, seeing me as nothing more than a financial resource. I needed closure before I left for Chicago. So I got in my car and drove to Maple Glen, to the house where I'd grown up, where the kitchen table had been the site of 1,000 family dinners, and where, I now realized, I'd been slowly taught that my worth was measured by my usefulness. The house looked exactly the same as it always had. Pristine white exterior, black shutters, perfectly manicured lawn, the kind of house that screamed successful family to the neighbors. No one driving by would guess that the people inside were drowning in debt, desperate and dangerous. Mia's car was in the driveway. Of course it was. They'd been waiting for me. I didn't knock. I'd lived here for 18 years. I still had a key. I walked in to find them in the living room, Mom, Dad, and Mia, sitting like they were staging an intervention, which I supposed they were. They looked up when I entered. Mom's face was tear-stained. Dad's was stony. Mia's was something between angry and triumphant, like she'd been proven right about something. "Well," Dad said, "she finally shows up." "I came to tell you something," I said, staying near the door, keeping my exit clear. "I know everything." "Everything?" Mia's voice was sharp. "What's that supposed to mean?" "I know about the credit applications, all 7 of them. I know about the $31,000 you've stolen from my accounts over the past few years. I know about your $184,000 in debt. I know about Mom and Dad's second mortgage and their depleted retirement fund. I know that this entire family is financially underwater, and you've been planning to use me as your life raft." The silence that followed was profound. Mom spoke first, her voice small. "Ella, honey, it's not what you think. Don't." I held up a hand. "I have the credit reports, the transaction histories, the loan applications with my forged signature. I have proof of everything. So please don't insult me by pretending this is something other than what it is." Mia stood up, her face flushing. "You don't understand what it's like. You with your perfect job and your perfect savings and your perfect life. Do you know how embarrassing it is to have a sister who makes everyone else look like failures? So you tried to rob me? It's not robbery when it's family helping family. You didn't ask for help, Mia. You stole. You lied. You forged documents. That's not family. That's fraud." "Oh, so now you're going to turn us in? Your own sister?" Mia's voice rose hysterically. "You're going to send me to jail?" "I should," I said quietly. "Morgan said you could face 15 years for what you've done." Mom gasped. Dad's face went pale. "But I won't," I continued. "Not unless you try this again. Not unless you steal from someone else. I'm going to let you face the natural consequences of your choices without a criminal record. Consider that my final gift to this family." "Natural consequences?" Dad finally spoke, his voice cold with fury. "You mean you're going to let your sister lose her house? Let your parents lose their home? Let this family fall apart?" "You're not losing your home because of me, Dad. You're losing it because you mortgaged it to cover Mia's debts. That was your choice. We did that to protect her." "From what? From consequences? From growing up? From learning to live within her means?" I could feel my voice rising, years of frustration finally breaking free. "You've been protecting her from reality for so long that she thinks stealing from her own sister is justified. You've enabled her until she's become someone who commits fraud and calls it love." Don't you dare blame us for your selfishness, Mom said, tears streaming down her face. We tried to raise you both right. To value family over money. Family over money, I repeated. That's interesting, Mom, because this entire conversation has been about money, about my money, about how I'm supposed to hand over 5 years of savings because Mia wants a house she can't afford. You're not asking me to choose family over money. You're asking me to choose Mia's wants over my needs. That's not fair, Mia said, but her voice was weaker now. Fair? I laughed, and it came out bitter. When has fair ever been part of this equation? You got help with college tuition. I got loans. You got your car co-signed. I bought mine in cash. You got a wedding funded by Mom and Dad. I wasn't even asked to be maid of honor. Fair has never existed in this family, Mia. There's just you getting what you want, and me being told to understand. Ella, Dad started, but I cut him off. I'm done understanding. I'm done compromising. I'm done being the backup plan for everyone in this family. I came here to tell you that I'm leaving Nashville. Friday. One-way ticket. And you're not going to follow me, contact me, or try to access any part of my life ever again. Where are you going? Mom asked, her voice breaking. That's not your concern anymore. Ella, please. Mom stood up, reaching for me. Don't do this. Don't tear this family apart over money. I'm not tearing anything apart, Mom. You did that, all of you, when you decided I was a resource instead of a person. When you taught Mia that she could take whatever she wanted from me because that's what family does. When Dad gave me an ultimatum, fund Mia's dream or stop being your daughter. Dad's jaw tightened. I never said, yes, you did. You said if I didn't co-sign the loan, I wasn't welcome at family gatherings, that I wasn't family. So I'm taking you at your word. I'm not your family anymore. I'm just someone who used to be. I turned to Mia. She was crying now, mascara running down her face, and for a moment, just a moment, I felt the old instinct to comfort her, to say it was okay, to fix it. But it wasn't okay, and I couldn't fix it, and I was done trying. Mia, I hope you get the help you need. Real help. Therapy. Financial counseling. A wake-up call that doesn't destroy you, but it can't come from me anymore. I can't save you. And honestly, I don't want to. You're a selfish bitch, she spat. And there it was, the real Mia, when the manipulation didn't work. Maybe, I said. But I'm a selfish bitch with boundaries, and that's better than being a doormat with a family. I walked out before anyone could respond, got in my car, drove away from that pristine white house with its perfect facade and its rotting foundation. And I didn't look back. Thursday morning, I met with an attorney. Patricia Chen had been recommended by Morgan, specializing in identity theft and family fraud cases. She listened to my story with the kind of focused attention that made me feel heard for the first time in days. You have an excellent case, she said when I finished. The documentation is thorough. The fraud is clear. If you want to press charges, the DA would likely be very interested. I don't want to press charges, I said. I just want to protect myself. Understandable. But Ella, I need you to consider something. If you don't press charges, what's to stop her from doing this to someone else? To her husband's family? To friends? To future employers? I hadn't thought about that. I know it's your sister. I know this is painful. But people who commit fraud once usually do it again. Especially if there are no consequences. You'd be protecting not just yourself, but potential future victims. I sat with that for a long moment. What if I file the report but request no prosecution unless she does it again? Is that possible? Patricia nodded slowly. We can file what's called an information report with the police. It documents the crime, creates a record, but doesn't automatically trigger charges. If she tries this again, with you or anyone else, the prior report strengthens any future case. It's a middle ground. Let's do that. We spent the next hour going through documents. Patricia prepared the police report, helped me file credit freezes with all 3 bureaus, and gave me a checklist of protective measures that made my head spin. Change every password to something she couldn't guess. Remove her from every account, document, emergency contact list. Update your will and beneficiary designations. Consider a P.O. box for important mail. And Ella, she looked at me seriously. When you move to your new city, don't tell them where you are. Not for a while. Maybe not ever. That seems extreme. So is committing financial fraud against your own sister. Your family has shown you who they are. Believe them. I left Patricia's office with a thick folder of paperwork and a hollow feeling in my chest. I was building a fortress around my life, brick by brick. It was necessary. It was right. But it still felt like grief. Thursday night, I sat in my apartment surrounded by half-packed boxes, systematically erasing my family from my digital life. Password changes. 47 accounts. Emergency contact updates. 12 services. Beneficiary changes. 3 financial accounts. My life insurance. My 401k. Authorized user removals. 4 credit cards. Credit freeze. All 3 bureaus. P.O. box application. Submitted. I went through my social media, deleting photos. Not all of them, just the ones where I looked like a supporting character in someone else's story. Me in the background of Mia's wedding photos. Me holding bags while Mia tried on clothes. Me taking the picture while everyone else posed. When had I become so invisible in my own life? I was emptying my spam folder when I saw it. An email from 2 years ago, caught in the junk filter because it was forwarded through multiple accounts. The subject line, Re-timing. I almost deleted it, but something made me click. From Diane Carter to Mia Carter. Date, March 15th, 2021. Subject, Re-timing. Sweetie, your father and I talked about your plan. We think you're right. Wait until after Ella's promotion. Her salary will be higher, and she'll feel more secure. Secure people are generous people. Also, make sure you're showing her houses you love well in advance. Get her invested emotionally in your dream. By the time you actually need the money, she'll feel like she's part of it. She won't want to let you down. We can work on the guilt angle at Sunday dinners. I'll mention her success, make sure she knows how proud we are, but also how much pressure you and Marcus are under. Plant those seeds. The key is making her think it's her idea to help. Then it won't feel like we're asking. It'll feel like family taking care of family. Love you, Mom. P.S. Don't reply to this email. Delete it after reading. I read it 3 times. Then I read it again. 2 years. They'd been planning this for 2 years. Every Sunday dinner. Every casual conversation about houses. Every mention of Mia's stress and my success. All of it calculated, orchestrated, performed. I wasn't their daughter. I was their mark. I printed the email, added it to the folder Patricia had started. Then I did something I probably shouldn't have. I forwarded it to myself from multiple accounts, uploaded it to cloud storage, and sent a copy to Morgan with instructions to keep it in my file. If they tried to rewrite history, I had proof. I looked at the clock, 9:47 p.m., less than 18 hours until my flight. I should sleep, pack, prepare. Instead, I opened Facebook. Mia had posted again. Update, still processing the betrayal. Some people really do choose money over family. I won't name names, but my husband and I worked so hard to qualify for our dream home. We saved, we planned, we did everything right. We were just $150K short, because who has that much liquid cash, right? We asked family for help, not a gift, a loan with interest and a payment plan, and got told no. Not let me think about it, not let me see what I can do. Just no. So now we're back to square one. Our dream is dead, and I'm supposed to just accept that some people care more about their bank account than their family's happiness. Marcus is devastated. I'm heartbroken. But I guess we'll figure it out alone, like we apparently always have. Blood might be thicker than water, but apparently money is thicker than blood. Family first, #heartbroken, betrayed, dreams die, toxic family. 286 comments, 143 shared. The comments were a mix of support for Mia and skeptics asking for both sides of the story. My Aunt Karen had commented, "There's always more to the story. Maybe have a private conversation before posting public grievances." Mia's response, "Some things need to be said publicly. I'm tired of protecting people who won't protect me." I scrolled through more comments. Extended family choosing sides. Old high school friends I hadn't talked to in years weighing in. Strangers calling me selfish based on Mia's carefully edited narrative. My hands hovered over the keyboard. Every instinct screamed to defend myself, to post the credit reports, the transaction histories, the emails showing their 2-year plan, to burn down her narrative with the truth. But Morgan's voice echoed in my head. The best revenge is living well. So instead of engaging, I wrote a single post of my own. To everyone who's reached out with concern about recent family drama, this is not the place for family business. But since it's been made public, here are the facts. 1. I was asked to co-sign a $380,000 mortgage, not loan, $150,000. 2. The amount requested was my entire life savings, built over 5 years. 3. I recently discovered over $30,000 in unauthorized charges on my accounts. 4. I am not obligated to fund anyone's lifestyle, family or not. 5. Saying no to family is not betrayal. It's a boundary. To my sister, I love you, but I won't set myself on fire to keep you warm. To everyone else, if you're in a situation where family demands you sacrifice your security for their comfort, know this. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to choose yourself. I'm logging off now. I have a plane to catch and a life to build. Comments disabled. I hit post before I could second-guess myself. Within minutes, my phone exploded. Mom called. Dad called. Mia sent 17 texts in a row, each one angrier than the last. I turned off my phone for the last time in Nashville. Friday morning arrived with the kind of finality that comes before permanent change. I woke up at 5 a.m., not because of an alarm, but because my body knew. This was the last day. I finished packing. 2 suitcases, 1 carry-on, a life condensed into the essentials. Everything else, furniture, kitchen supplies, the accumulated weight of 29 years, would be donated or sold. I was traveling light toward a future that was finally, completely mine. At 9 a.m., there was a knock on my door. I looked through the peephole and saw my mother standing in the hallway, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. Older, defeated. I almost didn't open the door, but there was something in her posture, not manipulation this time, but genuine exhaustion, that made me turn the deadbolt. "Hi, Mom." "Ella." Her voice was hoarse. "Please, can we talk? Just 5 minutes?" Against my better judgment, I let her in. She looked around at the boxes, the bare walls, the evidence of my departure. "You're really leaving?" "Yes." "To punish us?" "No, Mom. To save myself." She sank onto my couch, the only piece of furniture I hadn't yet dismantled. "I read what you posted about the unauthorized charges, about the co-signing. It's all true. I know." She looked up at me, and for the first time in my life, I saw genuine shame in her eyes. "I know, and I'm so sorry, Ella. We pushed too hard. We asked too much. Her voice broke. "We treated you like you were the solution to all our problems instead of our daughter." I sat down across from her, keeping distance between us. "Mom, that email, the one from 2 years ago, about planning to manipulate me." Her face crumbled. "You saw that?" "Yeah, I saw it." "Ella, we were desperate. Your father and I made some bad financial decisions, and when Mia got in trouble, we kept digging deeper. Every time we tried to fix it, we made it worse. And you were doing so well, and we thought—" She wiped her eyes. "We thought you could spare it. We thought it wouldn't hurt you. Because you never asked how it would hurt me. You never considered that my savings represented 5 years of sacrifice. That Toronto was my dream. That I'm a person with my own life, not just a backup generator for when the power goes out in yours. I know that now." She reached for my hand. I didn't pull away, but I didn't squeeze back. "Your father he's not handling this well. The church board situation, the neighbors talking. His pride is destroyed. Good. Maybe destroyed pride will teach him what destroyed trust feels like. Mia is... I don't want to hear about Mia, Mom. I'm done managing her feelings. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Mom said quietly, "Where are you going?" "I'm not telling you." "Ever?" "I don't know. Maybe someday, but not now. Right now, I need distance from all of you." "Will you... Can I call you? In a few weeks? A month?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. Maybe. If you're calling to have a real conversation, not to ask for money, not to mediate with Mia, not to guilt me into coming back, just mother and daughter talking. If you can do that, then maybe. "I can try," she whispered. "Then we'll see." She stood up, looked at me one more time. "I'm proud of you, Ella. I know I should have said it more. I know I should have shown it better. But I am proud of your strength, your success, and now your courage to walk away." "That means more than you know, Mom, but it also comes too late." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I know." After she left, I sat in the silence of my almost empty apartment and cried. Not for what I was losing, but for what I'd never really had. A mother who saw me, a father who supported me, a sister who loved me for me, not for what I could give her. I cried for the little girl who'd shared her birthday money and never gotten thanked, for the teenager who'd worked 3 jobs while her sister partied, for the young woman who'd celebrated promotions alone while her family celebrated Mia's engagement. I cried for every time I'd made myself smaller so Mia could feel bigger. And then I dried my eyes, finished packing, and called an Uber to the airport. At 1:30 p.m., I stood in the Nashville airport security line, watching families say goodbye with hugs and waves and promises to call. No one was here to see me off. I was leaving the only city I'd ever called home, and I was doing it completely alone. And somehow, that felt perfect. I boarded the plane at 2:45 p.m., found my window seat, stowed my carry-on, buckled my seatbelt. The woman next to me, maybe 60, with kind eyes and silver hair, smiled as she settled in. "Chicago for business or pleasure?" I thought about the question, about everything that had brought me to this moment. "Fresh start. Running from something or toward something?" "Both," I said honestly. She nodded knowingly. "That's the best kind of fresh start. The kind where you're not just escaping, you're claiming. My daughter did that 20 years ago. Left her whole family behind in Atlanta. Thought my heart would break. Did it? Almost, but she needed to go. And eventually, we learned to be better, to earn our way back into her life instead of demanding a place there." She looked at me closely. "You look like someone who's been carrying weight that isn't yours." "How did you know?" "I see it in my daughter sometimes, even now. That relief of finally putting something down." She patted my hand. "Whatever you left behind, honey, it was yours to leave." The plane pushed back from the gate. I watched Nashville disappear beneath us, the city growing smaller until it was just a pattern of lights and highways and lives I was no longer part of. I pulled out my phone and opened my notes app, wrote, "Things I'm choosing. 1. Financial security. 2. Peace. 3. Self-respect. 4. Boundaries. 5. A life that's mine." The woman next to me glanced over. "Good list." "Thanks, it's new." Best lists usually are. When we landed in Chicago 3 hours later, I stood in O'Hare Airport with 2 suitcases and a future that was terrifying and thrilling in equal measure. I didn't know anyone here, didn't have a job yet, didn't have friends or connections or a support system. But I had something I'd never had in Nashville: freedom. Freedom from expectations, from manipulation, from being the solution to everyone else's problems. I pulled out my phone, new number, new account, clean slate, and texted Morgan. "Landed safe, starting over. Thank you for everything." Her response came instantly. "Proud of you. Go build something beautiful." I walked out of the airport into a Chicago evening, cool and full of possibility. Somewhere in this city was an apartment I'd rented sight unseen, a job I hadn't found yet, a life I was going to build brick by brick, entirely on my own terms. Behind me was Nashville, family, history, obligation. Ahead of me was everything else. And for the first time in 29 years, everything else felt like enough. The apartment in Oak Park was nothing like what I'd imagined. It was smaller, older, with radiators that clanked and windows that rattled when the wind picked up off Lake Michigan. But it was mine, completely, entirely, unquestionably mine. I'd signed the lease remotely, sight unseen, driven by the urgency of needing a landing place more than the luxury of being choosy. Now, standing in the empty living room with my 2 suitcases and the echo of my footsteps on hardwood floors, I felt something I hadn't expected. Relief so profound it made my knees weak. That first night, I slept on an air mattress I'd bought at Target, wrapped in a sleeping bag, with my phone charging across the room so I wouldn't be tempted to check it. The silence was different here. Not the silence of avoidance, but the silence of peace. No one knew where I was. No one could reach me. No one needed anything from me. I woke up at dawn, made coffee in a pot I'd bought for $3 at Goodwill, and watched the sun rise over a city that didn't know my history. In Nashville, I'd been Ella the responsible one. Ella, Mia's sister. Ella who should really help out her family more. Here, I was just Ella, and I was learning that just Ella was enough. Week 1. Building walls. I spent the first week setting up defenses. Not furniture, that could wait, but boundaries. The kind that would keep me safe from the people who'd proven they'd tear me down to build themselves up. New phone number, given only to Morgan and my new landlord. Email address completely separate from anything my family had ever touched. Social media accounts deleted. Not deactivated, deleted. I didn't want breadcrumbs leading back to me. I opened a new bank account at a different institution, one my family had never heard of. Transferred my savings in 3 installments, watching the balance grow in my Fresh Start account while the old one drained to 0. It felt like moving my soul to a new body. The credit monitoring alerts came through daily. Someone was still trying. Loan applications, credit inquiries. Each one was automatically denied now, blocked by the freezes I'd put in place. But the attempts told me everything I needed to know. They hadn't stopped. They were just hitting a wall now. Good. Let them. On day 5, I got a text from an unknown number. Ella, it's your cousin Rachel. Mia gave me your old number. This is getting crazy. Can we talk? Rachel, my mom's niece. The one family member who'd always asked questions instead of taking sides. I hesitated, finger hovering over the delete button. Then I typed, "How did you get this number?" I didn't. I'm messaging your old one and hoping you see it. Please, I'm not asking you for anything. I just thought you should know what's happening. Against my better judgment, I called her. Ella! Oh, thank God. I've been worried sick. I'm okay, Rachel. I'm safe. Where are you? Not telling, sorry. A pause. Then, gently, I understand. Listen, I'm not calling to guilt you or ask you to come back. I'm calling because things are falling apart here, and I thought you should know. Not to fix it, just to know. Okay. Mia and Marcus are separating. I sat down on my air mattress, coffee mug in hand. When? 2 days ago. Marcus found out about all the credit cards. Apparently Mia had been hiding statements for months. When he saw the extent of it, over $50,000 in cards he didn't know about, he packed a bag and left. He's talking to a lawyer. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I just felt tired. Is Mia okay? Define okay. She's living with your parents. Her car got repossessed yesterday. Turns out she was 3 months behind on payments. She got a job at Nordstrom. Retail. Commission-based. It's humbling her, Ella. I don't think she's ever had to show up somewhere every day and actually work for money she couldn't borrow against. Good. Your dad lost his spot on the church board. That one surprised me. Why? Mrs. Henderson, the deacon's wife, saw Mia's Facebook posts, started asking questions. Other people had heard rumors about the mortgage fraud attempt. The board felt it was a crisis of ethical leadership or some church speak like that. Your dad's devastated. You know how much his reputation meant to him. I did know. Franklin Carter had built his entire identity on being the respectable family man, the church leader, the pillar of the community. To have that stripped away publicly must have been agony. I didn't feel sorry for him. And Mom? Rachel's voice softened. Your mom is... I think she's genuinely reflecting, Ella. She came to my house last week, crying. Said she'd been up for 3 nights thinking about the email you found, the one about manipulating you. She said she doesn't recognize the person who wrote that. That's nice, Rachel. But recognition isn't the same as change. I know. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. She asked me if I thought you'd ever speak to her again. What did you tell her? That it wasn't my place to say. But Ella, for what it's worth, I think you did the right thing. Leaving, protecting yourself. I watched you shrink for years, making yourself smaller so Mia could be bigger. It was painful to witness. Tears pricked my eyes. Why didn't you ever say anything? Would you have listened, or would you have just added my opinion to the pile of things you felt guilty about? She was right. I would have twisted it into another reason I wasn't doing enough, being enough, sacrificing enough. Thank you for calling, Rachel. Will you give me your new number? I promise I won't share it. I thought about it. Not yet, but you can email me. I gave her the new address. Don't tell anyone you have it. I won't. Be safe, Ella, and be happy. You deserve both. After we hung up, I sat in the weak morning light of my new apartment and processed what I'd learned. My family was facing consequences. Real ones, painful ones. The kind that come when you build your life on someone else's foundation, and that person finally walks away. I waited for the guilt to hit, the urge to fix it, to smooth it over, to sacrifice myself one more time to ease their pain. It didn't come. Instead, what I felt was a quiet certainty. This was supposed to happen. Not because I wanted them to suffer, but because suffering was the only teacher they'd ever listened to. Comfort had made them entitled. Desperation might make them honest. Month 2, finding ground. I got a job in early October. Not the dream position I'd been planning for Toronto, but something solid. Financial analyst at a mid-sized investment firm in the Loop. The pay was good, the work was challenging, and most importantly, no one there knew my history. My boss, Janet, was a no-nonsense woman in her 50s who'd built her career on spreadsheets and straight talk. During my interview, she'd looked at my resume and asked, "Why Chicago? You're from Nashville, worked there for 5 years. What changed?" I needed a fresh start, I'd said honestly. Running from something or towards something? Both, she'd smiled. Good answer. Start Monday. The office welcomed me with the casual friendliness of people who had their own lives and didn't need to know every detail of yours. Javier, the analyst in the cubicle next to mine, invited me to lunch my first week. "So what brought you to Chicago?" he asked over tacos at a hole-in-the-wall place near the office. Needed a change. From? People who thought my life belonged to them. He whistled low. Family or relationship? Family? Ah, that's the hardest kind of break. He took a bite of his taco, then added, "My mom didn't talk to me for 2 years when I moved here from Texas. She thought I was abandoning her." Were you? Nah, I was saving myself. There's a difference. She gets it now. Mostly. He grinned. Give it time. Either they'll figure out how to have a relationship with the real you, or they won't. Either way, you'll survive. It was the most honest conversation I'd had about family in years, and it came from someone who'd known me for 3 days. That's when I started to understand something crucial. The people who loved me for who I was wouldn't need my history to see my worth, and the people who only loved what I could give them would never see me at all, no matter how much I shared. I started therapy in November. Dr. Sarah Okonkwo had an office in Lincoln Park, warm and cluttered with books and plants that seemed to thrive on the difficult conversations held there. In our first session, she asked me why I'd come. "I left my family," I said, "and I don't feel guilty about it. I think that's probably bad." "Why would that be bad?" "Because family is supposed to matter, You're supposed to fight for them, work through things, forgive. Says who? The question stopped me cold. Everyone? Ella, let me ask you something. If a stranger on the street demanded your life savings, stole from you, manipulated you for years, and gave you an ultimatum between funding their lifestyle or being cut off, would you feel guilty about walking away? No, of course not. Then why do you think you should feel guilty when family does it? I stared at her. Because they're family. And that gives them the right to abuse you? It's not abuse, isn't it? She leaned forward. Financial manipulation, emotional blackmail, identity theft, gaslighting, systematic devaluation of your needs and dreams. Ella, if your best friend told you her family was doing these things to her, what would you tell her to do? I'd tell her to leave. So why are you here questioning whether you did the right thing? I felt tears building. Because they're my family, because I love them, because some part of me keeps thinking if I'd just tried harder, been better, found the right words, they would have changed? Yes. Ella, her voice was gentle but firm. You can't fix people by setting yourself on fire. You can't love someone into respecting you. You can't sacrifice your way to being valued. Then what was the point of any of it? All those years of trying? The point was that you're a good person who believed people would eventually give back what you gave them. You weren't wrong to hope. You were just hoping for people who weren't capable of meeting you there. I cried then. Not the angry tears I'd shed in Nashville, but the grief tears, the ones that acknowledged what I'd lost wasn't just my family as they were, but my family as I'd needed them to be. It's okay to grieve the family you deserved, Dr. Okonkwo said, even while you celebrate leaving the family you had. Month 3, the email. It came on a Sunday in late November. I was making coffee, half listening to NPR, thinking about nothing in particular. My laptop chimed with an email notification. From Diane.Carter, C965@gmail.com. Subject, no expectations. I stared at the subject line for a full minute before opening it. Ella, I don't know if you'll read this. I don't know if you should. But I'm writing it anyway because your therapist, yes, your father and I started therapy, says I need to take responsibility without expecting anything in return. So here it is. I'm sorry. Not the, I'm sorry you're upset kind of sorry. The I'm sorry I hurt you kind. The I'm sorry I taught Mia she was entitled to your sacrifice kind. The I'm sorry I measured your worth by your usefulness instead of your humanity kind. I've been reading the email I sent Mia 2 years ago, the one about manipulating you. I've read it 50 times now, trying to understand how I became the kind of mother who would write something like that about her own daughter. The therapist says I was operating from fear, that your father and I made bad financial decisions, and when Mia started making the same mistakes, we panicked. We thought if we could just get you to help, everything would be okay. We could fix it all if we could just access your stability. But we weren't fixing anything. We were draining you to fill a bucket with a hole in it. Mia is working now. Retail at Nordstrom. She's paying down her debt, $50 at a time. Marcus is willing to try counseling, but only if she stays employed and stops spending. It's humbling her in ways I didn't think possible. Your father lost the church board position. He's angry, but underneath the anger, I think he's ashamed. He won't admit it, but I see him looking at your childhood photos sometimes, and his face just crumbles. I'm not telling you this to make you come back. I'm telling you because you deserve to know that your leaving had an impact, that it forced us to look at ourselves in ways we never would have if you'd stayed and kept absorbing our dysfunction. You were right about everything, Ella. We did treat you like a resource. We did enable Mia. We did sacrifice your dreams for her comfort. And I'm so sorry. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even know if I deserve the chance to earn it back. But I want you to know, I'm proud of you for leaving. I'm proud of you for choosing yourself. And I'm sorry it took losing you to learn how to be the mother you deserved. If you ever want to talk, no expectations, no pressure, just 2 people trying to be honest. I'm here. Love, Mom. I read it 3 times. Then I closed my laptop and went for a walk along the lake. The November wind off Lake Michigan was bitter, cutting through my coat and making my eyes water. Or maybe that was tears. I couldn't tell any more. The email was everything I'd wanted to hear 2 months ago. But now, standing on the shore of a new life I'd built from scratch, I didn't know what to do with it. In therapy that week, Dr. Okonkwo asked me what I was feeling. Confused, I said. She apologized, really apologized, said all the right things, and I don't know if I believe her. Why not? Because words are easy. Changing is hard. That's very wise, Ella. So what do you need to see before you can trust her? I thought about it. Time, consistency, proof that she's actually different, not just scared I'll never come back. And if she provides that, then maybe we can have coffee someday. Talk, see if there's a relationship worth building. Not rebuilding, building. What's the difference? Rebuilding implies going back to what was. Building implies creating something new. You can't rebuild a foundation that was always cracked. You have to pour a new one. Month 6. The call. It was March when my phone rang with an unknown number. I'd learned to ignore most of them. Spam calls, wrong numbers, the occasional Nashville area code I recognized and deleted. But this one was persistent. 3 calls in an hour, always from the same number. Finally, I answered. Hello? Ella. Don't hang up, please. Mia's voice. Smaller than I'd ever heard it. Uncertain. Every instinct screamed to end the call. But something in her tone, not manipulation this time, but genuine hesitation, made me stay on the line. I'm listening, I said, keeping my voice neutral. I'm in therapy. Court mandated because of the credit thing. Marcus insisted as part of his conditions for trying again. But I'm actually going. Actually trying. And my therapist asked me to do something. I waited. She asked me to tell you what I actually did wrong. Not what I think you want to hear, but what I genuinely did wrong. She said I can't move forward until I acknowledge the past honestly. Okay, a shaky breath. Then, I stole from you. Not just money. I stole your trust, your safety, your choices. I acted entitled to your life because I'd never had to build my own. Everything was always given to me, or taken for me, and I never learned the difference between help and theft. I sat down on my couch, phone pressed to my ear, barely breathing. I blamed you for having boundaries because boundaries meant I had to face consequences, and I'd spent my whole life avoiding consequences. Mom and Dad always caught me, always fixed things, always made it okay. So when you said no, I felt betrayed. But I was the one who'd been betraying you for years. Mia, let me finish, please. Her voice cracked. I used you. I manipulated you. I saw that email Mom sent about timing the ask, about making it seem like your idea, and I went along with it. I knew what we were doing was wrong, but I told myself it was fine because you had plenty, because you'd always helped before, because that's what family does. But that's not what family does, I said quietly. That's what parasites do. I know that now. And Ella, I don't know if you can forgive me. I don't know if you should, but I needed you to know. You were right about all of it, about me being entitled, about Mom and Dad enabling me, about the financial disaster I was dragging you into. What changed? I asked. Why now? Marcus left me, for real, not just temporarily. He filed for divorce, said he couldn't trust me anymore, couldn't build a life with someone who lied about money and stole from family. I'm sorry. Don't be. He was right. I was a liar and a thief. I'm still working on not being those things. A pause. I'm 9 months sober from shopping addiction. That's a thing, apparently. I joined SA, Spenders Anonymous. I'm paying down my debt, $50 a paycheck. It's slow, but it's mine. That's good, Mia, really. Are you happy, wherever you are? I looked around my apartment, small, simple, filled with things I'd chosen myself, paid for myself, arranged myself. No family photos on the walls, no guilt weighing down the air. Just peace. I'm getting there, I said honestly. Good. That's good. Her voice was soft. I don't expect anything from you, Ella. I'm not asking you to come back or forgive me or be my sister again. I just wanted you to know I'm trying to be someone who deserves a sister like you someday, even if that someday never comes. We sat in silence for a moment. Then I said, Mia? Yeah? Keep going to therapy. Keep working. Keep being honest. And maybe in a year, if you're still doing the work, we can have coffee. No expectations. Just two people who used to be sisters, seeing if they can be friends. I heard her crying softly. I'd like that. So would I. After we hung up, I sat in the late afternoon light and felt something shift. Not forgiveness, not yet, but maybe the possibility of it. The sense that healing wasn't always about cutting people off forever, but about creating enough distance to let them grow into people worth knowing. 1 year later, Thanksgiving in Chicago looked nothing like Thanksgiving in Nashville. No massive family gathering, no tension crackling beneath polite conversation, no assigned role of peacekeeper or provider. Instead, I hosted a small dinner in my apartment, now properly furnished, decorated with things I loved instead of things that matched. Javier came with his husband. My neighbor Mrs. Park brought Korean side dishes. Rachel drove up from Indianapolis where she'd moved for a new job. And Janet, my boss, showed up with wine and a homemade pie. We were an unlikely group. Found family, Rachel called it. People who'd chosen each other instead of being assigned by blood. At 6 p.m., the doorbell rang. I opened it to find a courier holding a card. Delivery for Ella Carter? I signed for it, curious. Inside was a card with Mia's handwriting. Ella, I know you're probably celebrating with people who actually deserve you. I'm having Thanksgiving with Mom and Dad, trying to rebuild what we broke. I'm 1 year sober from shopping. 1 year of showing up to work. 1 year of therapy twice a week. Marcus and I are trying again, slowly, carefully, with complete financial transparency. I've paid off $12,000 in debt. I have $172,000 to go, but I'm paying it myself, one shift at a time. Mom and Dad are in therapy too. Dad's learning that pride isn't the same as integrity. Mom's learning that love isn't the same as control. We're all learning how to be people instead of just roles. I don't expect you to care, but I wanted you to know that the person you said no to needed that no more than she knew. You didn't abandon me. You showed me what boundaries look like, what self-respect looks like, what strength looks like. Maybe someday we can have that coffee. No pressure. Just whenever you're ready. Thank you for loving yourself enough to walk away. It taught me I had to do the same. Love, I hope that's okay to say. Mia. I showed the card to Rachel. She read it and smiled. She's trying. Yeah, she is. Does that change anything for you? I thought about it. Not yet, but maybe someday. We returned to the table, to the laughter and the clinking glasses and the warmth of people who'd chosen to love me without conditions. As I looked around at these faces, Javier telling a story, Mrs. Park correcting his Korean pronunciation, Janet arguing politics with Rachel, I felt something I'd been chasing my whole life without knowing it. Not happiness, not completeness, not the perfect family, just peace. Peace that came from knowing my worth wasn't measured by what I gave, but by who I was. Peace that came from boundaries honored instead of boundaries violated. Peace that came from choosing myself first and letting the people who could respect that choice find their way back. Mrs. Park raised her glass. To Ella, for having the courage to leave what was hurting her and the wisdom to build what heals her. Everyone raised their glasses. To Ella, I raised mine too. To peace, I said, and to the people who make it possible. Later that night, after everyone had gone home and I was washing dishes in my small kitchen, my phone buzzed with an email. From Diane, carterdenny65@gmail.com. Subject, Thanksgiving. Just wanted to say I'm grateful you exist, even if I don't get to be part of your life right now. Happy Thanksgiving, sweetheart. I dried my hands and typed a reply. Happy Thanksgiving, Mom. I hope you're well. It wasn't forgiveness, it wasn't reconciliation, but it was acknowledgement. A tiny door left open, not wide enough to walk through yet, but enough to let a little light pass between us. Maybe that was enough for now. I turned off my phone, poured myself a glass of wine, and stood at my window looking out over Chicago. Somewhere out there, in a city that had asked nothing of me except that I show up and be myself, was a future I was building one choice at a time. A year ago, I'd thought walking away meant losing everything. Today, I knew it meant finding myself, and that, more than any family reunion or tearful forgiveness, was the gift I'd needed most. 18 months after leaving Nashville, I got a text from Mia. "Coffee next month? I'll come to you. My treat." I budgeted for it. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I replied, "Let me think about it." A week later, I said yes. We met at a cafe in Lincoln Park on a Saturday morning in May. She arrived early, I noticed through the window, sitting nervously with a cup of black coffee she wasn't drinking. When I walked in, she stood up. We hugged awkwardly, the muscle memory of sisterhood fighting against the reality of strangers. "You look good," she said. "So do you?" And she did. Thinner, maybe. Tired. But there was something in her face that hadn't been there before. Something like honesty. We talked for 2 hours. Not about money or the past, at least not at first. Just about life. Her job, where she'd been promoted to assistant manager. Her therapy, which she said was the hardest thing I've ever done. Marcus, who she was slowly learning to trust again. And finally, carefully, "Ella, I know I can't fix what I did, but I'm trying to become someone who wouldn't do it again. Is that enough?" "I don't know yet," I said honestly, "but it's a start." When we parted, we hugged again. This time it lasted a second longer. "Can we do this again?" she asked. "In a few months?" "Maybe, if you're still doing the work." "I will be, I promise." I watched her walk away, back toward the L station, back toward a life she was finally building instead of borrowing. And I felt something I hadn't expected. Hope. Not that we'd go back to being the sisters we were, but that maybe we could become something new, something healthier, something built on respect instead of obligation. Or maybe we wouldn't. Maybe this coffee would be the beginning and the end, and we'd spend the rest of our lives as people who used to know each other. Either way, I'd be okay, because the greatest gift I'd given myself wasn't permission to leave. It was permission to choose, to stay or go, to forgive or not, to rebuild or walk away. The power had always been mine. I'd just forgotten to use it. Now, standing on a Chicago street corner with my whole life ahead of me and my past finally behind me, I understood what freedom really meant. It meant knowing that family could be a place of love, but it could also be the first place that taught you to abandon yourself. It meant understanding that walking away wasn't heartless. It was self-preservation. And it meant learning, finally, that you didn't owe anyone your future just because they were present in your past. I turned toward home. My home, the one I'd built, the one that belonged only to me, and started walking. Behind me, Nashville. Ahead of me, everything else. And for the first time in my life, everything else was exactly where I wanted to be.